Hey, good morning, guys. It is October 5th. Chambers is in Galatians 1, where Paul is presenting himself to the church in Galatia, and he is making the case for why he is an apostle sent by God and why they should listen to him. And I'm going to read a little longer section than Chambers deals with, but Paul says in verse 11, Chambers is in 15 through 16, but verse 11, I want you to know, brothers, that the gospel I preached is not something that man made up. I did not receive it from any man, nor was I taught it. Rather, I received it by revelation from Jesus Christ. For you've heard of my previous way of life in Judaism, how intensely I persecuted the church of God and tried to destroy it. I was advancing in Judaism beyond many Jews of my own age and was extremely zealous for the traditions of my fathers. But, and this is verse 15, but when God, who set me apart from birth and called me by his grace, was pleased to reveal his Son in me so that I might preach him among the Gentiles, I did not consult any man. So that's the part that Chambers is dealing with today, that God, who set me apart from birth, called me by his grace, and then this part, who was pleased to reveal his Son in me. And so then Chambers deals with today, in today's study, this idea of holiness and how it can be achieved, and it's not by any heredity. He basically is making this assertion that it's not heredity, but it's the heredity that we receive when we are regenerated with Jesus Christ being in us. Paul says, Christ in me. He was pleased to reveal his Son in me so that I might preach. And so then this key to holiness is having Jesus in us. And it sounds simple because we've been taught it since we were little kids. Do you have Jesus in your heart? And it's kind of a funny thing to say to a kid, because most children think literally. They think, well, and especially, it's got to be really confusing now with those little bitty Jesus things. You need a little Jesus in your life. Can you imagine now what kids are thinking when you say, is Jesus in your heart? And now that we have those little bitty Jesus, they're going to be thinking, whoa, wait a second, is this little guy, do I need to put him in my heart, or is there one of these things in my heart? So that can be a little confusing, but we've been taught our whole life that we need Jesus in us. And it's, if we go back to yesterday, my right to my claim to myself, if I take that and I take my right to my claim to myself and I set that aside, then what that allows is it allows or creates almost a vacuum. Okay, well then, whose claim to whose right to whom am I dealing with then? God's claim to his right to his Son in my life. And so if we take each one of those, my claim to my right to myself, and flip it and allow God to make his claim on my life and put his Son in me, that becomes our new heredity, if you will, our new genetic, not really genetic, but you know what I mean. Chambers says, if Jesus Christ is a regenerator, one who can put into me his own heredity of holiness, then I begin to see what he is driving at when he says that I have to be holy. Because be holy because I am holy. Well, be holy because I am holy means be holy because you will be me. You will be regenerated with my character, my spirit, right? If I'm regenerated with the Spirit of Christ, then of course I'm holy, because he is holy. That's what he says, be holy because I am holy. Well, then I think that what we miss is I think we miss the connection between them. Be holy as I am holy. I think it means be holy because if I am truly in you, you will be holy because I'm holy. Not be holy because my expectation is that you need to do better, do more, work a little harder. The moral transaction, Chambers says, on my part, is agreement with God's verdict on sin in the cross of Jesus Christ, so that sin has been stamped out, and I no longer am a slave to sin, but I'm a slave to righteousness because the character of Christ is in me. And then he says later down, he says, but I have to get there. God cannot put into me, a responsible moral being, the disposition that was in Jesus Christ, unless I am conscious I need it. And that's back to yesterday's, my claim to my right to myself. Once I understand that my claim to my right to myself has to be set aside, that I have to lay that down, then I am conscious that I need Christ's character in me. I need his genetics, as you would, like, metaphorically, his genetics in me to be holy, because I can't be. So I don't know if that's any better clarification on things we've talked about in the past, but it was a good reminder. And I like I like the way Paul puts it in Galatians. So chapter 1 might be a good thing for you guys to read. Have a good one.